question.
Yes, true. Because the first original 5 questions were answered by first 3 chapters. And then in the fourth chapter, further 3 questions were asked. So still we are on the second question. He is inquired about the hearer, and about the speaker has still not been answered. So that will come later. तस्य जन्म महाबुद्धे कर्माणि च महात्मना निधनं च यथा वेश निधनं च यथा आवेशी सप्रेत्य गतवान् यथा. How was the great Emperor Parikshit, who was highly intelligent and great devotee, born in that womb? How did his death take place? And what did he achieve after his death? So these are further questions. These are the supplementary questions to the main questions. That how was he born in that womb, which was already spoiled by the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama? So how was he born in that womb? And how did his death take place? And what did he achieve after his death? The king of Hastinapur, now Delhi, used to be the emperor of the world, at least till the time of the son of Emperor Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother, and so he could certainly be saved from an untimely death due to the ill will of the son of Brahmana. Because the age of Kali began to act just after the assumption of power in Maharaj Parikshit, the first sign of misgivings was exhibited in the cursing of such a greatly intelligent and devoted king as Maharaj Parikshit. The king is the protector of the helpless citizens, and their welfare, peace, and prosperity depends on him. Unfortunately, by the instigation of the fallen age of Kali, an unfortunate Brahmana's son was employed to condemn the innocent Maharaj Parikshit. And so the king had to prepare himself for death within 7 days. So this is the synopsis Prabhupada is giving, because the question is, how did his death take place? So Prabhupada is commenting on that. History will ever record this unfortunate incident as to how a great king was killed by the unkind intrude of the fallen son of a Brahmana. Maharaj Parikshit is especially famous as one who is protected by Vishnu. What is the name? It is called Vishnu Rat. The king who is a devotee of Lord Vishnu is called Vishnu Rat. He is protected by Vishnu, and in turn he protects the citizen. As Prabhupada is saying here, that the king is the protector of the helpless citizens. So how he invokes the protection is by protection of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu protects the king, and in turn the king protects the citizens. And when he was unduly cursed by a Brahmana's son, he could have invoked the mercy of the Lord to save him, but he did not want to, because he was a pure devotee. A pure devotee never asks the Lord for any undue favor. Maharaj Parikshit knew that the curse of the Brahmana's son upon him was unjustified, as everyone else knew. But he did not want to counteract it, because he knew also that the age of Kali had begun, and that the first symptom of the age, namely degradation of the highly talented Brahmana community, had also begun. So the first impact of Kali was not somewhere else. It affected in the intelligence of the most elevated class. Prabhupada said the highly talented Brahmana community. He did not want to interfere with the current of that time, but he prepared himself to meet death very cheerfully and very properly. Being fortunate, he got at least 7 days to prepare himself to meet death, and so he properly utilized the time in the association of Sukdev Goswami, the great saint and devotee of the Lord. Tadidam shrotum ikchamo gaditam yadi manyase bruhina shraddhanana yasya jnanam adakshaku. Jasya Jnanam Adag Chuka. Shukha. Okay. It is Shukha. Shukha is Shukdev Goswami. We all respectfully want to hear about him, Maharaj Parikshit, to whom Sukadev Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter. So these sages are so awake, so alert. They didn't want to continue on the detour. They requested Suda Goswami to come back and answer their main question, their inquiry. Shukdev Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge to Maharaj Parikshit during the remaining 7 days of his life. And Maharaj Parikshit heard him properly, just like an ardent student. The effect of such a bona fide hearing and chanting of Srimad Bhagavatam was equally shared by both the hearer and the chanter. Both of them were benefited. Out of the 9 different transcendental means of devotional service to the Lord prescribed in the Bhagavatam, either all of them or some of them or even one of them are equally beneficial if properly discharged. Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami were serious performers of the first 2 important items, namely the process of chanting and the process of hearing. And therefore, both of them were successful in their laudable attempt. Transcendental realization is attained by such serious hearing and chanting and not otherwise. There is a type of spiritual master and disciple much advertised in this age of Kali. It is said that the masters inject spiritual force into the disciple by an electrical current. Just hear this. A master injects spiritual force into the disciple by an electrical current generated by the master. And the disciple begins to feel the shock. He becomes unconscious and the master weeps for his exhausting his store of so-called spiritual assets. Such bogus advertisement is going on in this age, and the poor common man is becoming the victim of such advertisement. We do not find such folk tales in the dealings of Shukdev Goswami and his great disciple Maharaj Parikshit. The sage recited Srimad Bhagavatam in devotion, and the great king heard him properly. The king did not feel any shock of electrical current from the master, nor did he become unconscious while receiving knowledge from the master. One should not therefore become a victim of these unauthorized advertisements made by some bogus representatives of Vedic knowledge. The sages of Naimisharanya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaj Parikshit because of his receiving knowledge from Shukdev Goswami by means of ardent hearing. Ardent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive transcendental. Very important. Prabhupada says, the ardent hearing from the bona fide spiritual master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge, and there is no need for medical performance or occult mysticism for miraculous effects. The process is simple, but only the sincere party can achieve the desired result. Suta uvacha Apipalat Dharmaraja Pitravad Ranjayan Praja Nispriha Sarvakamebhya Krishna Padanu Sevaya. So the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit is being mentioned here. First, Yudhishthir Maharaj. Sud Goswami said Emperor Yudhishthir administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like a father. He had no personal ambition. Nispriha Sarvakamebhya. He had no personal ambition and was freed from all sorts of sense gratification. Why? Krishna Padanu Sevaya. Because of his continuous service unto the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. As mentioned in our introduction, there is a need for the science of Krishna in human society for the good of all suffering humanity of the world. And we simply request the leaders of all nations to pick up this science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society, and for the good of all world's people. So it is confirmed herein by the example of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the personality of goodness. In India, the people hanker after Ramarajya because the personality of goddess was the ideal king, and all other kings or emperors in India controlled the destiny of the world for the prosperity of every living being who took birth on the earth. Herein, the word praja is significant. The etymological import of the word is that which is born. On the earth, there are many species of life, from the aquatics up to the perfect human beings, and all are known as prajas. Lord Brahma, the creator of this particular universe, is known as Prajapati because he is the grandfather of all who have taken birth. Thus, praja is used in a broader sense than it is now used. The king is meant to protect all living beings, namely the aquatics, plants, trees, reptiles, birds, animals, and man. Every one of them is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavad Gita 14:4. What is the verse? 14:4. Without looking at the book. Famous verse. We should all be speaking. What verse is this? Bolo? 14:4. Talks about all species of life. What is the verse? Pranav, what is the verse? You have Bhagavatam in your hand?
Not open, Prabhuji.
Very good. It is meant to remain closed on the self.
Yes,
And it will give byproducts to you.
Bhagavatam in hand.
It is in your hand, na?
Yes,
Why you are
yes.
not open?
No, I thought Bhagavad Gita.
No. We are talking about Bhagavatam. So which verse is this? In what context is this shloka referred by Srila Prabhupada?
Prabhuji, Mamaivangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta
So
Sanatana.
please read the context, my dear. Don't jump. You are still not in tune with what is happening. The episode is not clear to you. What is being discussed so far? What we have discussed in this verse?
Uh,
Nispriha sarva kamebhyo. Then what is the next line? Why are you taking so much of time? Yeah, it should be immediately there on the tip. Were you doing something else while we were reading? You were hearing, na? This entire process is about hearing. This is what Srila Prabhupada said, that the transcendental knowledge is transferred by a student who is an ardent hearer. See, again, you are taking so much time.
Krishna Padanu Sevaya.
Krishna Padanu Sevaya. This is being used for whom? Krishna Padanu Sevaya. For Maharaj?
Parikshit Maharaj.
No, Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj. This is being used for Yudhishthir Maharaj. So in what reference 14.4 is being, referred by Srila Prabhupada? Who is hearing ardently? Priyanka, आप बताइए. और सुन ही नहीं रहे हैं. आधे लोग तो सो रहे हैं, वो सुन नहीं रहे हैं. They are absorbed. उनके माइंड में कुछ और ही चल रहा है. आप बोलो प्रियंका.
प्रभु जी, ये स्पीसी ऑफ लाइफ के बारे में
क्या बता रहे हैं? हाँ, स्पीशीज ऑफ लाइफ के बारे में बता रहे हैं. वेरियस स्पीशीज ऑफ लाइफ.
they all are created by Supreme Lord.
They all are
created by Supreme Lord.
Yeah, but what is the key message which is being, conveyed in this purport? You should hear attentively. आपके पास book है या नहीं है? You should always keep the book in hand. And both of you should have separate books. मोबाइल दोनों के पास अलग है या एक ही फोन से काम चलता है? मोबाइल तो अलग चाहिए. बुक एक होगा. हमारे पास भगवत गीता है. किसके पास है? मेरे पापा के पास है. या मेरे दादा के पास है। वो वाला अप्रोच हमारा नहीं होना चाहिए। अरे मोबाइल फोन सबको पर्सनल चाहिए। हाँ, भगवान से कनेक्शन पर्सनल नहीं चाहिए, वो इम्पर्सनल होना चाहिए। उसमें हमेशा इम्पर्सनल रहना चाहिए। बोलो ना क्या आप बता रहे हैं? व्हाट इज दिस वर्स इलैबोरेटिंग ऑन? व्हाट्स क्वालिटी? व्हाट इज द क्वालिटी of Maharaj Yudhishthira is being appreciated here in this verse? Krishna Padanu Sevaya. Which quality is that? Madan Swarup Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhupada mentions that all the living beings are citizen of the kingdom.
The word is
And-
Praja. And if he is Raja, then he has to protect all the Praja, not
All
only in
living.
one form of life, in all species of life. So Prabhupada is referring this verse 14.4. Now speak, what is the verse?
Verse I don't remember, Prabhuji.
Then I am asking everyone. See, if the Father is universal and he has a representative in the form of the king, so he also has to be universal. He cannot be partial. A leader cannot be partial. Otherwise, he's not a leader. He's not a representative. He has to include everyone. So what is the verse? Sarvayoneshu kaunteya murteya sambhavantiya tasadaham brahmayoni aham bija pradapita. So Krishna is saying Sarvayoneshu kaunteya. In all these species of life, not only human species of life. That is what Prabhupada will come to his classic point, that if there is a king, he is the protector of all species of life. He cannot allow slaughtering. Animal killing cannot be allowed under any pretext. Anyway, please hear attentively. My dear, see everywhere Prabhupada is saying that transcendental knowledge is transferred by the process of transcendental hearing. You may sit with the book for your entire life. And you may, memorize all the verse. But that will not suffice. Realization will not come. Realization will only come when the principle is applied. And believe me, hearing is the purest form of performing devotional service. But hearing is to be done by heart. Any other subject matter cannot come in between. If you are having anything else, then we are making a show of hearing. It's a farce. You see how these Goswamis are hearing? They didn't forget their question. And they were not receiving the answer, so they requested Suta Goswami again to come back to the track and give them the answer of the question. And not only the question, they expanded the question by supplementary questions. So that the description of birth, activities, and death of Maharaj Parikshit can even more be elaborated. So the quality of the king is that he is the protector of entire Praja. Prabhupada is saying the king is meant to protect all living beings, namely the aquatics, plants, trees, reptiles, birds, animals, and man. Every one of them is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. 14.4. Sarvayoneshu kaunteya murteya sambhavantiye tasam brahmahadyoni aham bija pradapita. Krishna says that it is to be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in the material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Not only for human race, for every species. The seed-giving father remains Krishna. And the body is given by the mother nature. So every one of them is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and the king being, see the same point, and the king being the representative of the Supreme Lord is duty bound. He is not doing a favor. It is duty bound to give proper protection to every one of them, to all the 8,400,000 species of life. This is not the case with the president and dictators of this demoralized system of administration. So Prabhupada is comparing that what is the current scenario and what was the Vedic scenario, where the lower animals are given no protection while the higher animals are given so-called protection. See how Prabhupada gives a hammer. Very beautiful. Prabhupada is saying where the lower animals are given no protection, and the higher animals. Who are these higher animals? In the so-called human form of life are given protection. But this is a great science which can be learned only by one who knows the science of Krishna. By knowing the science of Krishna, one can become the most perfect man in the world. And unless one has knowledge of this science, all qualification and doctorates, diplomas acquired by academic education are spoiled and useless. Maharaj Yudhishthira knew the science of Krishna very well, but it started here that by continuous cultivation of this science or by continuous devotional service to Lord Krishna, he acquired the qualification to administer the state like a father. The father is sometimes seemingly cruel to the sons, but that does not mean that the father has lost the qualification to be a father. A father is always a father because he always has the good of the sons at heart. The father wants everyone of his sons to become better man than himself. Therefore, a king like Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was the personality of goodness, wanted everyone under his administration, especially human beings who have better developed consciousness, to become devotees of Lord Krishna so that everyone can become free from the trifles of material existence. His motto of administration was all good for the citizens, for as personified goodness, he knew perfectly well what is actually good for them. He conducted the administration on that principle and not on the Rakshasi, demonic principle of self-gratification. As an ideal king, he had no personal ambition, and there was no place for sense gratification because all his senses at all times were engaged in the loving service of the Supreme Lord, which includes the partial service to the living beings who form the parts and parcel of the complete whole. Those who are busy rendering service to the parts and parcel, leaving aside the whole, only spoil time and energy, as one does when watering the leaves of the tree without watering the root. If water is poured on the root, the leaves are enlivened perfectly and automatically. But if water is poured on the leaves, only the whole energy is spoiled. Maharaj Yudhishthira, therefore, was constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. And thus the parts and parcel of the Lord, the living beings under his careful administration, were perfectly attended with all comforts in his life and all progress in the next. That is the way of perfect management of state administration. A very elaborate purport Prabhupada is giving. Prabhupada is giving the full comprehensive principle followed by details as how one can be a perfect representative of the Supreme Lord. I'll take at least one more verse. Sampada kritavo loka mahishi bhataro mahi Jambudvipa adhipatyam cha yashashratri divam gata. Sampada. News even reached to the celestial planet about Maharaj Yudhishthira's worldly possessions. The sacrifice by which he could attain a better destination, his queens, his stalwart brother, his extensive land, his sovereignty over the planet Earth, and his fame, etc. Yashash cha tri divam gatam. Yashash means his fame. It expanded to three divam. Three divam also means the three planets. Here it says the celestial planets. Only a rich and great man's name and fame are known all over the world. And the name and fame of Maharaj Yudhishthira reached the higher planets because of his good administration, worldly possessions, glorious wife Draupadi, the strength of his brothers Bhima and Arjuna, and his solid sovereign power over the world. Known as Jambu Dvipa, where the word Loka is significant. There are different lokas or higher planets scattered all over the sky, both material and spiritual. A person can reach them by the dint of his work in the present life, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.25. Anyone remembers what is 9.25? Dayashil, bolo. What is 9.25? अरे unmute खोल के भाई. Unmute and then speak. Then we can hear. Otherwise, you speak and you hear. We remain unable to hear you. अरे भाई unmute and speak.
I'm just recollecting, Prabhuji.
Your lips were moving, so I thought you were speaking. Is it Yanti Devvratan Deva? Pitran Yanti Pitanvita? Bhutejyo Yanti Bhutanam and Man Bhakta Yanti Mamupi. Just see, open. What is 9.25? Quickly, Prabhu, don't take so much time. We have very less time. I see apart from me, no one else is interested to, go through the first canto. Maybe Sonika I see is very sincere. But others are relaxed. होगा ठीक है, नहीं होगा कोई बात नहीं. करेंगे.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What is the verse?
Yanti deva prata devan pitri yanti priti prata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti mat yajino apimam.
Okay, read the translation.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestor go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghost and spirit will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. Thank you.
See, wait. See how Prabhupada paraphrases and presents the translation. There are different lokas or higher planets scattered all over the sky, both material and spiritual. A person can reach them by dint of his work in his present life, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9.25. So I picked up the hint from here. No forceful entrance is allowed there. The tiny material scientists and engineers who have discovered vehicles to travel over a few thousand miles in outer space will not be allowed entrance. Prabhupada is, giving a bash. The teeny material scientists and engineers who have discovered vehicles to travel over a few thousand miles in outer space will not be allowed entrance. All this Discovery and Explorer and Sputnik, they're all useless. None of them can reach. This is not the way to reach the better planets. One must qualify himself to enter into such happy planets by sacrifice and service. Those who are sinful at every step of life can expect only to be degraded into animal life to suffer more and more. The pangs of material existence. And this is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 16.90. Who knows this verse? 16.90. This chapter, hardly I don't think you are knowing. Divine and demoniac. Although once His Holiness Radha Govind Maharaj was giving this course in our temple, he gave 4 Bhagavatam classes at a stretch every day, many years back in auditorium. And most of the time he was emphasizing on this chapter, 16th chapter. He said we should all read the 16th chapter every day to realize where we are. This is Mudha Janmani Janmani. What is the verse starts from? See, what is 1619?
This is Tan Aham
Tana.
Vistah Iran Sam Saresu Naradhamu Sipami Ajasa Ram Asubhan Asuri Eva Yonisu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life.
Very good. Okay. So those who are sinful in every step of life can expect only to be graded into animal life to suffer more and more. the pangs of material existence, and this is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 16:19. Maharaj Yudhishthira's good sacrifices and qualifications was so lofty and virtuous that even the residents of the higher celestial planets were already prepared to receive him as one of them. So what was spread? His yasha. Yashas chatri divam gatam. And sampada kritavalo. His sacrifice, his activity led him to such fame that he was known in all the higher planets. Kimte kama suraspriha mukunda manasodvija adijarur mudam rajna sudhitsasya yathetara. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. There are two things in the world which can satisfy living beings. When one is materially engrossed, he is satisfied only by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of the material mode, he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is constitutionally a servitor and not one who is served. Being illusioned by the condition of the external energy, one falsely thinks himself to be served, but actually he is not the served. He is the servant of his senses and his lust, desire, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper sense of attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes that he is not the master of the material world, but is only a servant of the senses. At that time, he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by so-called material happiness. Maharaj Yudhishthira was one of the liberated souls. And therefore, for him, there was no pleasure in a vast kingdom. Good life, good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow a pure devotee. Even though the devotee does not aspire for them. The example set here is exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than the food. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, shelter, or sense gratification. The hunger is for spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance, only people think that the world is dissatisfied because there is not sufficient food, shelter, defense, and object of sense gratification. This is called illusion. Although the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, his hunger is misunderstood to be material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even the people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is their hunger and poverty? The hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. These can be obtained in the association of the Supreme Spirit, Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore one who has them cannot be attracted by the so-called food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification of the material world, even if they are relished by the denizen of the heavenly planets. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita 8:16, it is said that even in topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahmalok, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by earthly calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. What is the verse? Prabhupada has given the translation here. He has mentioned what is this verse mentioning. Very clear. A little bit of attention and care and you can catch the verse. It is said by the Lord that even the topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahmalok, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years of earthly calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. Which is the verse? क्या बात है, गीता बिल्कुल आता नहीं है. बोलो दयाशील, वर्ड तो दे ही दिया है, कहां से शुरू होगा?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Abrahma Bhuvanaloka Punanavitano Arjuna.
What is the next line? Most important line.
Amupateya Konteya Punarjanmana.
Yes. Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, Punaravartino. Right from the lowest planet to the highest planet of Brahmaloka. Even if you elevate yourself to the highest planet of Brahmaloka. Punaravartino Arjuna. One has to come back. But Mam Upetya to Konteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. Ramya is not hearing today?
She's hearing Prabhupada.
Hearing? Where is she? She is sitting with you? Okay. Yeah. You see, I mean, needless to say, after so many years and after so many verses and chapters and cantos and purport, you see, everywhere there is only one focus, is somehow to change our consciousness and incline it to hearing. And if this one change happens, further change of body will stop. And if this one change does not happen, this continuation of change of bodies cannot be stopped. Choice is ours. What we want, what we prefer. I see one of our devotees, Ganesh, who has been hearing for so many years, has stopped hearing now. Believe me, when we will come to further chapters, even fewer will be left. Because they don't want to leave this body. They have so much of attraction for this body that they feel that this spiritual body is useless and this material body is the only means to enjoy it. So they cannot give up this idea or thought. One cannot satisfy his hunger. Such hunger can be satisfied only when the living being is situated in immortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky, far, far above the Brahmaloka, in the association of Lord Mukunda, and the Lord awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. Okay, so I'll stop here. Can I make a request, although it is going to be a test for me, that we start at 8 and finish at 9? So far, my mercy, today is what? 28. 11 days we have had successive sessions. We not dropped any session. I had taken a, I was trying, and so many classes came in this period. Almost all temple invited me for the class. And every time they invite me for the class, then I have only this evening time left to prepare. And today again, my class was scheduled for tomorrow. It was preponed today. Till yesterday, I was not knowing that I have a class today. But somehow, the prayer is that this time we don't discontinue Srimad Bhagavatam. Whatever comes, at least attempt is there. So if we join in by 8, somewhere near, if we can begin by 8. I know it is predominantly being delayed because of me, that I joined late. But if we can, make it a little early, then we can cover a little more, and we'll try to close by 9:15. So we may be able to cover at least 10 verses, 8 to 10 verses. I tried my level best, we did 6. A little bit of discussion. Most of the time, I'm completely exhausted. I mean, I have no energy left to concentrate and focus. But somehow, we are attempting. So if we can join a little early, maybe we can do a little more. And we try to come as close as completing this chapter in this year. Because first chapter is big, first canto is big, second canto is small. But the third canto is enormously big. So we should be able to do second and third in the second year. But that will require, a big, shift in our schedule and discipline. Then only it can happen. Yeah. In my Bhakti Vaibhav, we have almost gone, midway through the third canto. And we have only 5 days session in a month. So 5 days, we have 4 hours class. So 20 hours session is there in a month. We have only 20 hours of Srimad Bhagavatam study in a month. And in almost 1 year, we have done 3 chapters, 3 cantos, 3.5 cantos. But our teacher does not take 5 or 10 verses, he takes at least 20, 25 verses. The speed is, brisk. And the absorption also has to be high. And then within that, the discussion is also there and the explanation is also there. Of course, he does not go line by line, word by word, as to what we are doing. But my request is, if you can begin a little early, then we will be able to, cover more. You agree? How many of you feel it is possible? Say, let us by 8:10 or 8:15 we should start. Monica says yes. Manoram, are you sure? Many times when I have joined, I don't see you joining. You know that Prabhuji will come after 8:30. So you every time join after 8:30. Also the case with you, Sonika. Almost the same case with you. Huh? Okay, so from tomorrow we'll try to improve. I'll try to improve. Please pray for me also, that I'm able to do that. What I am, asking from all of you. Because I really have this desire that in this forum, in our reading forum, in our study group, we'll be able to do at least one canto in 1 year. Thank you very much. And please prepare for the yatra now. Start preparing yourself, your consciousness, and those who have to travel, get your dhoti kurta all washed, cleaned. Whatever you have to prepare, start preparing. Sonika, you will give us the medical support.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So keep, some medicines for cold, cough, and all. Yeah. And you have made the WhatsApp group, Ravinder Prabhu? आपका आया तो था, आपने सब लोगों को ऐड कर लिया है?
जी प्रभु जी, मैंने कर लिया। कुबेर प्रभु का जो है लोग, वो उनको करेंगे, वो कर लिया था।
हाँ, आप उनको कर दो और फिर वो बाकी लोगों को कर देंगे, उनको भी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बना दो।
मैं सुबह ही कर दिया था, उनको बता भी दिया था फोन कर।
ठीक है, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा। So far the registration is 80.
81
है। वो यमुना माता जी आपने लिखा है कि she is doubtful ना?
हाँ, डाउटफुल।
हाँ, तो 80 समझो। I have some very good news for you. Somehow one devotee came to me today, my very good friend, ashram in charge Mohan Sham Prabhu. For 2 days he was in Braj. So he asked me, Prabhuji, आप कब जा रहे हैं? And he asked me, where are you going? Then he told me, Bhandirvan आप जा रहे हैं, तो प्रसाद वहीं पाइए। तो मैंने कहा, भाई लाएगा कौन? I was thinking of calling my friend Purijan to send prasad. He said, नहीं. Then he called one Mataji, who is from the family of Shri Radha Bhandirvan temple. And he made me speak to her, and she agreed to prepare Brajavasi Prasad for all of us in Bhandirvan, the place where Radha Krishna got married. She said, we will give you chach, we will give you mirchi ka achar, braj roti. This is from our side. And you suggest what all you want. We will prepare that also. So for the first time in our life, we will have braj roti, prepared by the genuine Brajavasis and their original chach, and then mirchi ka achar. Okay, so don't miss out. I feel sorry for our Pranav Prabhu. He has done his tickets also. He sent me his 8 tickets long back. Please, all of us pray for him. Somehow, the fate is not so favorable. Last time also his leave was rejected. And this time also somehow it has been rejected. But believe me, Pranav, wherever I go, I will pray for you. I will pray that next year you are definitely able to come. If all of us pray, and my request is that you please put in your application for leave 2 months early. Don't think that they will accept or not accept. You please put in. Okay?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, don't be disheartened. We will all pray for you. Okay, Dayashil, you try to wrap up tomorrow. Okay? I give you one extra day. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.